Well, good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana weather. Snow is on the way, and I've been talking about it on our Facebook page for a few days now, and we're just a few hours away from seeing maybe our first measurable snowfall of the season. So I wanted to do a quick video update for you guys today to get an idea, give you an idea of what we can expect. And I won't talk just about the snow in this because I think it will be a relatively minor snow event, and I'll just say that from the outset here. But I do believe this is something that we want to take a look at, and then I want to take a look at the longer term picture as well. So we'll just start out here with the current conditions, the satellite, and I've turned on the satellite and the radar. I've also put the current surface on here so that you can get an idea of what we're having here. Essentially what we have is a huge dome of high pressure stationed over the U.S.-Canadian border up here by North Dakota, Minnesota, and this thing is a hugely powerful high pressure system. You also have a pretty powerful low going on in northern Canada, and what you have is a very powerful cold front that's actually sort of dragging down like this. And what you're going to have come behind this front, remember, winds around a low wrap counterclockwise, whereas winds around a high pressure wrap clockwise. So what you've got going in here is essentially a huge influx of cold air from Canada being pushed in behind this front, and that's exactly what you're seeing is resulting in some snow and a little bit of rain up to our north. Now, part of this is rain, part of it is snow. As you can see here, you've got at least a half an inch of snow already being reported. If we were to take this back in time a little bit and look at the local storm reports, you can see some places have already picked up even an inch or more of snow up here, an inch and a half over here, 3 inches of snow. So there's a pretty decent amount of accumulation being put into this as you travel in time. But the reality is we're not going to be getting 3 inches of snow, so there's not going to be anything that we are going to have to specifically worry about with this as far as that goes. So the snow is well off to our north, and you can actually see how cold it is too if I just turn on the current temperatures, and I'll take off the isobars here. You can see the cold air that's plunging our way, and sort of let me just draw this cold front on here for you, and it's situated something similar to this, and you can really see, remember that high pressure is situated up in here, and it is pumping cold air just like this. So the temperatures that you see up in here in the teens, upper teens, and the mid to upper 20s, that's all coming our way. In fact, by the time we hit tomorrow night, we are going to be in for some bitter cold temperatures. Tonight, we're only going to hit a low of around 31, but by the time tomorrow night comes, we're talking low 20s for an area-wide low. So not only are we talking about a hard freeze, but along with that, the wind chills are just going to be absolutely bitter cold, because we are looking at some very windy conditions over with this as well. If I find my Met Tower manager here, I will, where did it go? There it is. Let me just put the winds on here for you, and you can get an idea of these northerly winds as it goes down in. And let's just take a look at some of these wind speeds up here with it. And you're looking winds here at 13 knots, so not terribly windy here, but it's going to continue to get a little bit windier than that. Right here we're looking at 8 knots, so it gets windier as you go, and that's what the collars indicate. Here you've got 14 knot winds and 13 knot winds, and so really the big picture that we need to understand, and I know most aren't familiar with knots, and I understand that. Let me take off the satellite. I understand that most aren't familiar with the knots, but just understand that it's going to be windy. So if you're looking at a 13 knot wind, you're probably looking at least an 18 mile an hour or so wind speed as for the way the translation goes. So this is the point that we want to take home from this, is tomorrow is going to be a windy day, and it's just going to be a flat out cold day. I mean, whenever you have temperatures in the 20s and 30s headed your way. That's some cold air, and that's pretty amazing to think that we may get some snow out of this tonight when we're setting in 57 here at 2:53 in the afternoon here in Huntingburg, and even in the 60s already in Evansville, but snow is coming our way. So real quick, let me sort of show you what's going on with the big picture with it. So big picture wise, here we have our surface map, and again you see that surface cold front moving through, and you see a little bit of snow that'll move through with it. Again, the first blue line here, we call this the 540 thickness line, and remember that 540 thickness line, everything to the north of that, at least in theory, is snow, and boy, I cannot draw very well, and everything to the south of that, the idea is it's rain. So as that 540 thickness line moves over us in time a little bit further, you can see that it becomes an all snow situation for us eventually, and once that moves past, then you notice we start to come into more of a warm-up pattern eventually as these red lines move towards us. That's indication of a warmer temperature profile moving towards us, and we'll even get some back into the 60s by the weekend, but we'll have to deal with another little system that could bring us a little bit of rain. So not a whole lot of snow to worry about. So let's just sort of time this out with the NAM's future radar product. So let me reload this so it gets the fresh data into here, and we'll just put this into motion. Again, you saw on our radar map that we had rain moving here into northern Indiana already, and as I put this into motion from this morning, you can sort of see that rain changes over to snow. You start to get a bit of precipitation down in our area, but not a whole lot. But then again, just watch this big plume of snow move through. But the other thing to sort of notice with this is over time, I mean, here we are at this is future radar for 4 o'clock this afternoon, but then notice how fast this system moves. This is for 1 o'clock tonight. You start to see a little bit of snow moving around in our area. I think it'll start out as rain first, eventually transition over to a rain-snow mix with maybe a little bit of sleet in there as well, and then move to an all-snow mix. But then notice how quickly this is gone. By 5 o'clock, it's pretty much out of the area, and the only thing you're dealing with is some lake effect snows up in the north that will never make its way down here, and then it's just gone. And the good news is the temperatures will warm up tomorrow a little bit as a result. Not by far, but I don't think what we'll see tonight sticks around. And so, yeah, let me refresh this again. Sometimes these things on this particular site I'm using just don't like to do very well if you don't refresh them into memory. So you see here, notice the cold temperatures move our way, and so here we have at midnight tonight. By midnight, it's forecasting upper 30s down here in our neck of the woods. And remember, about 1 is where we said the rain snow should be sort of making its way down into here by then, and we will start to see it in our area. Well, we notice we're already dropping into the mid-30s. So again, it may take, and the one thing I would want to point out with that as well is it can snow and come down as snow even if we are in the mid-30s. So don't let that temperature fool you. The thing of it is, it's not going to stick if the temperature is still 36. So that may be our saving grace, is that it starts to change over to snow while it's still in there. And eventually our temperature will cool down enough that we'll see a little bit of it stick. But I think our temperatures are going to hold up enough that I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And so if I put this into motion, you see it drop overnight. By the time we're at 6 in the morning, yes, we've dropped down to 33. But if you remember the future radar product, most everything is past us by then. So again, if that holds, you're not going to see a ton of accumulation. And so I do think you'll see a few things stick, but this isn't going to be a big system. A few things working in our favor. Number one, we have warm ground today. I mean, temperatures right now are already in the upper 50s. We're going to a high of about 60 today. And so you've got warm ground for the snow to fall on. It doesn't like warm ground. Number two, you have a wet ground, because it's going to start out as rain in our area first. So snow just doesn't like to stick to wet ground. It melts it on contact generally. So we're actually going to have to get those surface temperatures down. Now, the other thing going in the favor of snow is that surface temperatures on the ground can oftentimes cool faster than the air. So in particular, grassy areas and areas that are a little bit elevated, get the wind to them more, they may drop lower than that 36 that we see at kind of the time frame that we're looking to start some of this. So I do think we'll see a little bit of accumulation, but I don't think this is going to be a major event. And then as we go forward in time a little bit more to tomorrow afternoon, I just want to show you that we do warm up a little bit so that we go up to around 38 or so tomorrow afternoon. So pretty much anything that does come down, which again isn't going to be much, is not going to stick. So how much can we expect? Well, let me just show you the 4-kilometer NEM, which is what I've been showing you here for the future radar product and the temperature profile as well. It says not a whole lot, and what you see in these gray shades, this first darker gray shade right here is about an inch, and everything else is less than an inch. So it would be helpful if they put accumulation totals on here like some models do, but they don't. But in general, just understand that this is pretty much a dusting to 1 inch for the 4-kilometer NEM. If you go with the Euro model, which is usually pretty good for this thing, it's actually showing only 1/10 of an inch of measurable snow here for the Huntingburg Airport, which actually does have a plot on here, about 3/10 of an inch up at the Bloomington Airport. So, and maybe a 1/2 inch over toward Louisville. Again, the idea is a dusting to 1 inch. Same way with the GFS, and very, very similar profiles of a dusting to 1 inch. So, in short, sweet, and to the point of all this, it may be that we see absolutely no accumulation in many areas, and it may be that some areas get a 1/2 inch or less. But my official forecast I've went with on the 7-day outlook is a dusting to 1 inch. If we get under one of those heavier snow bands, does stick around for a while, I could see us reasonably getting 1 inch. I can't see us reasonably getting any more than that. It'll really surprise me if anywhere in southern Indiana gets more than that. Never say never. Anything's possible. It has to be nowcasted whenever you see these snow bands start to set up. But in general, this is not going to be a big event. A bigger event is going to be the cold, because we go up to 60 for a high today, only down to about 31, 32 tonight, something like that. So that's enough that it can stick. But then we only warm up to 38 tomorrow, and then down to 22 for your low on Tuesday night. This is that bitterly cold temperatures pushing in from the south that I talked about. And you see that the cold weather sticks around for a little while. We're only up into the 40s, and then we might hit 50 on Thursday. I've only forecasted 49. Some of us may hit pretty close to 50, but these are just cold temperatures right now. And climatologically, our normal temperature this time of the year, well, let me, hold on, it's 56 and 36 for the low, and this is the forecast that I made for my site this morning. I always look at the climatology to see how far above or below normal. So if you're talking 56 degrees for a normal high, I mean, we're going to be, actually a little bit over that today, but pretty much on par. Tomorrow, we're going to be about 20 degrees below normal, and it just stays that way with 36 for a normal low. Again, 10 to 15 degrees below normal on the temperatures for your overnight low as well. And as you scroll through, you just see that this cold weather sticks around, but then we have a little bit of a warm-up for the weekend, and that's a good thing. And that's a pattern that I actually wanted to show you. Here's what the GFS ensembles are saying for the next 15 days. And you notice you got kind of an up and down pattern headed towards us. So, yeah, we only end up with some bitterly cold temperatures tomorrow in the next few days, but then we get a nice warm-up in store for us as the weekend takes place. And then going beyond that, we get a little bit of a cool down potentially again next week. And what you see is this kind of up, down temperature pattern with it. And I think, unfortunately, that's going to be one of those patterns. And the reason why is because we're going to have a very active jet stream. If I just animate the jet stream for you, you can get an idea of how active this pattern is. So you see the jet stream takes a dip over us. We go into a warm sector, but then the jet stream takes another dip over us. Then we go into a warm sector with it, and then it's just sort of an up and down pattern with this. So here's our cool down for next week. Right around Wednesday or so, we're expecting to see another cool down where we could have temperatures potentially in the mid to upper 30s for a high temperature. Again, I don't see snow being a problem with that one at this point, but we'll keep an eye on it. But again, you're going to have these up and down temperatures, and really, as far as the eye can see, I think this is what we can expect. Now, the reason I think we can expect that, if we just real quick, we'll finish up with the global teleconnections here. And remember, the Arctic Oscillation is polar air on the move. You want a negative if you want the polar air to reach us. It never really goes negative. It's starting to trend more towards neutral, and then it goes up. So that's an indication of up and down pattern. And then you got your P&A index, and your P&A index is an indication of, remember, a positive P&A is a trough over us, and we get colder weather. A negative P&A, we get that we get that warmer weather, and so you cool down and then you warm up, then you cool down some and you warm up, then you cool down and you warm up. See a trend here? And unfortunately, if we were to take a look at the NAO, you would find that exact same pattern, although it's kind of an up and down pattern, but mostly positive, which would indicate that there won't be a blocking pattern, so it's not a long-term effect. So go to southernindianaweather.com. You can keep up with the latest. Again, I think minor accumulations tonight. Keep it right here. Thanks for watching.